Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So today we have that huge meeting between President Biden and the four congressional leaders where they're going to discuss ways in which they can raise the debt ceiling because again, that deadline is coming up on June 1st, anywhere between the early parts of June to the middle parts of June where they will have to raise the debt ceiling. Again, this is going to have tremendous effects on our nation's future, our economic security, as well as the timely payments of Social Security. Also, we're going to be going over one interview by one senator and his plan to reform and save Social Security because, again, by around 2033, there could be a cut in benefits of right around 20 to 25%. Now, before I go ahead and dive into the main content of today's video, if you wouldn't mind helping me out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the good old YouTube algorithm, and also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. So again, today we have that huge congressional meeting coming up. So according to NPR, President Biden hosts top congressional leaders at White House to talk debt limit. So President Biden will meet with top congressional leaders Tuesday to discuss the debt limit, as the date by which the federal government could run out of money to pay its bills is rapidly approaching. The meeting comes a week after Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen warned lawmakers that without raising the debt ceiling, the government could run short of money as early as June 1st. It's the first time Biden and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy will meet on this issue since the pair met in February. They will be joined by House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, along with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. Last month, House Republicans passed a bill that would increase the debt limit by $1.5 trillion or through March 2024, whichever comes first, and includes trillions in deficit reduction. But Democrats in the White House continue to insist that the bill is a non-starter. Jeffries called the measure a ransom note, and the bill is dead on arrival in the Democratic-controlled Senate. So even though Republicans passed that bill through the House, again, Democrats control the Senate, so there's no way that bill is going to get the 60 votes that it needs in order to pass the Senate. So at this meeting, they hope to come to some sort of an agreement. It's going to come down to pretty much the House Speaker and Kevin McCarthy and Joe Biden reaching some sort of an agreement on a bill that could also pass the Senate as well, because if they don't, again, June 1st, June 8th, or maybe even June 15th, at some point probably in June, we are no longer going to pay our bills. We are no longer going to have the money to pay our bills. We're not going to be able to take those extraordinary measures that Janet Yellen has been taking. And if we're not able to pay our bills, we're going to default on our debts. That's going to make us look very bad as a country. That could plunge the stock market by, say, like 20 to 25%. If you have a 401k, you could be losing a lot of money. Also, there could be a lot of jobs lost. They predict around 2.5 million jobs lost. It's going to have tremendous bad effects on our economy. And in addition to that, they also say that Social Security payments could be delayed by maybe a couple days, maybe a week. No one really knows. This has never happened before. So we are in pretty much unfamiliar territory. And so if they can't reach an agreement, let's say today at the meeting, maybe they'll have a meeting next week or in a couple more weeks. But if they're unable to reach any sort of agreement and they're not able to raise the debt ceiling, apparently Biden is considering other measures such as using the 14th Amendment to unilaterally raise the debt ceiling without congressional approval. So according to The Hill, 14th Amendment talk on debt limit viewed with extreme caution by Team Biden. So President Biden and his team are approaching the prospect of a debt ceiling escape hatch that hinges on the 14th Amendment with extreme caution ahead of a pivotal meeting with congressional leaders at the White House on Tuesday. Some officials have openly voiced concerns about the legal standing of using the 14th Amendment to solve the debt ceiling crisis and the potential financial ripple effects of going that route. While not entirely ruling it out, Biden and other senior officials are hardly embracing the idea, which revolves around language in the 14th Amendment that says the public debt, quote, shall not be questioned. The idea of using that language to allow Biden to unilaterally continue to issue debt has reportedly been floating privately within the administration. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen on Sunday, however, said using the 14th Amendment would trigger a constitutional crisis. She argued lawmakers should not let it get to that point. So obviously, they don't want to use the 14th Amendment, but maybe if they have to, they will. A lot of people say that Biden could not forgive student loan debt unilaterally without congressional approval. But guess what? He went ahead and forgave up to $20,000 worth of student loans. Now, of course, there is a lot of lawsuits involved in that, and it may not actually pass, but Biden went ahead and did something. Biden has shown in the past that he's not afraid to do things that may or may not be, I guess, legal for him to do. So it's definitely possible for him to do it. Will he do it or not? I'm sure that's not going to be his first route, but perhaps if worse comes to worse, maybe he will go ahead and pull the trigger and use the 14th Amendment to continue to issue more debt for our country. Now, of course, this is going to be extremely important because not only is the timely payments of Social Security on the line, but of course we have a lot of jobs that could be lost because of this, because of the debt ceiling not being raised, and just a whole lot of economic consequences in general. So this is going to be very important. Also, speaking of Social Security, like I mentioned, in around the years of 2033 to 2034, if Social Security is not reformed, we could see a benefit cut of around 20 to 25%. That's because Social Security will be going insolvent around that time period, at least according to numerous reports. And, the checks that we're receiving right now aren't really necessarily enough. On average, retirees are receiving around $1,800 per month. That's hardly enough to even pay rent in a lot of cities, $1,800. So obviously you need a lot more money than that. If there's going to be a 20 to 25% up from the 1,800, that's going to be even less. And according to The Hill, nearly half of baby boomers have no retirement savings to pair with the Social Security that they're receiving. And The Hill says that is a problem. A newly minted retiree of 65 can now expect to live 20 more years on average, according to Social Security projections. Without a retirement account, most retirees count on Social Security. The average monthly Social Security check to a retired worker is around $1,800. The average household run by an American older than 65 spends more than $4,000 per month. So you can see if you're going to be spending around $4,000 per month, an average check of $1,800 is not going to be nearly enough to get by. So you're going to need something in addition to your Social Security check, whether that's savings that you have maybe in a savings account, whether that's a 401k, whether that's an IRA, anything to pair with what you're receiving for Social Security. If we look at this poll here, we can see retirement account ownership by demographic. Gen Z is the lowest at 7.7%. Then we have millennials coming in at 49.5%, Gen X at 56.1%, and baby boomers the highest at 58.1%. But all in all, there's not a huge percentage of either generation with extra retirement accounts that they're expecting to use to pair with Social Security to fund their retirement. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Do you have an extra retirement account that you use, whether it's a 401k, whether it's an IRA, to pair with your Social Security for your retirement? Now, of course, we do have some plans on the table right now. Of course, we had that Bernie Sanders plan, which would make Social Security solvent through around $2,100, and it would also increase benefits by around $200 per month. He would do that by raising taxes on Americans who earn above $250,000 per year. And then, of course, there's that bipartisan plan. It's not yet in the bill. It's just a proposal. It's headed by Bill Cassidy and also Angus King. So we have different Republicans and Democrats pitching their ideas in this bill. What they would do is they would have, sort of around $1.5 trillion. They would take this money, they would invest into the stock market, real estate, things like that, into a trust fund that would be separate from the Social Security Trust Fund, and they would try to increase their money in that form. Now, in this video, Cassidy is going to talk a little bit about his proposal, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about it before wrapping up this video. Watch.
The actuaries have been saying, Social Security actuaries are saying that Social Security will go insolvent roughly in the mid-2030s. They've now moved that date up a year. Now they're saying it goes insolvent, I think, in 2033. And when that happens, the three of us, who will then be over 65, I think you will be, will see a 24% decrease in our benefits. Now, that will actually double the rate of poverty.
In other words, people already on Social Security. We're not talking about younger people.
Everybody. And that's by law. It isn't like, oh, it may happen, it may not. By law, it will go insolvent if we don't have a plan before then to address it. The president has not advanced a plan, by the way, and he's proposed $4.5 trillion in taxes, as I mentioned, and not a dime for social.
Well, in fairness, neither have the Republicans. I mean,
no, that's not true.
Well, I mean,
you just mentioned I've been working on it. And I would argue.
Well, I'm going to hear your plan, but I mean, for instance, both President Biden and President Trump are both pledging to do nothing.
Believe me, I think that Trump and Biden are showing negative leadership. We talked about black hole of leadership. Both of them are trying to take from the public square an honest discussion of the fact that under their policies, poverty among the elderly will double. And both of them should be excoriated for that.
So what's your plan?
So we have a big idea. What it does is what like every other funded pension plan in the world does. We take $1.5 trillion, put it in a fund separate from Social Security, no Social Security funds, and we invest it in the economy. We hold it in escrow for 70 years and allow it to grow.
When you say invest in the economy, what, you're putting it in the stock market?
Stock market, real estate. We already do that with other trust funds in the federal government. We do it with the Thrift Savings Plan, the federal employees savings plan. Canada does it. Wisconsin does it. I mean, like the birds do it, the bees do it. Everybody does it.
But you said $1.5 trillion?
Correct.
Where's that coming from?
Well, so the initial amount would have to be borrowed over 5 years.
Wait a minute, you're a debt hawk and you want to get another $1.5 trillion?
The difference of it is...
I mean, even in Washington, that's real money, Senator.
The difference is in this, it would be held in escrow, and in here, it would be invested. So it actually balances. The money, the money offsets it. And if you had to, you could just take it and put it back out. And so it actually offsets. You're not buying tanks and you're not paying for unemployment benefits. And over 30 years, over 70 years, that money grows and we can bridge Social Security into solvency.
Senator Cardin, I guess two questions. One, what do you think of $1.5 trillion, which is a lot of money? And secondly, which would be very different from what Social Security has done with its trust fund up till now, putting it in the stock market.
No, our trust fund, we don't go in the Social Security trust fund. It is a
No, but I'm saying as compared to what we have done with the current Social Security trust fund, you're taking the money and you're putting it in the market, which as we know
First
goes
of all, Senator,
up and down.
First of all, I like Senator Cassidy's working with Democrats and Republicans to try to get things done. I think that's critically important. That's how we get things done. It'd be a lot easier if we didn't have the threat of default on our debt. It'd be nice if that was off before we start borrowing more money, that we're not jeopardizing that.
Let's move on.
But number two, what I like about Senator Cassidy's proposal, we need to at least maintain the benefits of the Social Security system. We talk about middle-income families and retirees. They depend upon their Social Security checks. We want to make sure they're going to continue to get their full benefits.
What do you think of the idea of taking money and putting it, I understand this is new money, but putting it into the stock market, which can go up and down. And some people suggest that this is the foot in the door to privatization.
Right. We have to protect the guaranteed benefits under Social Security, so that's my number one priority. I'm willing to listen to any proposal that protects the guaranteed benefits under Social Security.
And under our proposal, we guarantee those benefits.
So it's definitely an interesting idea, although a lot of people will say it's risky. Taking $1.5 trillion and investing it, that money could obviously go down. But again, this $1.5 trillion is going to be separate. But again, we are going to have to take an additional $1.5 trillion in debt, which of course Chris Wallace is saying, you know, for someone who is a debt hawk, if you're going to take on extra debt, it's a little bit interesting. But if this plan actually, you know, pans out and works well, it could actually save Social Security. We'll have to wait and see. As long as they're not doing something like raising the full retirement age where they have to cut benefits, as long as we can keep paying out benefits as is for the long term, that is going to be a huge win for America in general. But let me know what you think about his plan in the comment section below. Again, this is not yet in a bill. It is just simply a proposal. But on that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. If you made it all the way to the end, thank you so much. I definitely appreciate you. If you enjoyed the content in today's video, definitely make sure to give this video a like. I would greatly appreciate it if you would. Consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already, and I will see you in the next video.